Your perception of me is a reflection of you, and my reaction to you is an awareness of me.
Oh yes, I'm back, and I've been looking at TikTok.
This is MD in the attic.
I've been hearing this quite a lot recently. Last couple of weeks, two things I've heard a lot of. Austin, you're an asshole. Perception is projection, Austin. So what are you projecting? As some of you will know, I have done an expose on a certain therapist. Is he really a therapist? A certain fraudster portraying himself to be a therapist. Now, this guy told a few lies. Lies of quite a significant stature, really. Completely invented his history. Completely invented himself to be an award-winning, medal-wearing, former special forces, all-singing, all-dancing action hero who's top of the tree. Now, this guy, because no one in the world of therapy ever checks anything, and people aren't bothered by reality or data or facts, that kind of stuff, evidence, he's managed to work his way up the social status. He's got himself into all sorts of interesting places, rubbing shoulders with top-level trainers, who some of whom have probably got themselves there by the same method. And now it turns out everything he's ever said is pretty much a lie. I've exposed that, and guess what? The backlash began. It took about 5 days. Initially I thought, this is a bit odd, there's no backlash. And then the backlash started. And I've got some emails. Now, I'm never going to read the emails out. I'm not going to name anybody. Feel free to send me over whatever you want. But one of the most common themes was, perception is projection, Austin. What are you projecting? Now, this is something I have to point out here. The trainer concerned is male. All of the negative emails I've received about me in connection with this are all from women who basically say, so what if he lies? So what if he lies? Yeah, it doesn't matter, because he's a great guy. He's a great guy. Okay. Notice there's not been many fellas who've told me this. Perception is projection. What you see in others is what you possess within yourself. So therefore, when you point your finger at somebody else, there's 5, 10, whatever fingers pointing back. You cannot see anything in another person that you do not possess within yourself. Okay then, let's look at some actual evidence. You know that gut feeling you get when you meet someone who's a bad guy? It turns out they're a bad guy. Are you projecting that because you're a bad guy yourself? Robbing banks. I've heard about bank robbers. Don't like them. Is that because my dislike of them is because I'm potentially a bank robber? What about sex pests? What about any of those type of ilk? People who do harm to children, people do harm to puppies. They disgust me. Is that because you have that within yourself? Now, according to some of these people, let's just check one of them.
Carl Jung said perception is projection, which means what I perceive is projected out from my own filters. So whenever I point the finger at someone, it communicates a lot about me. Oftentimes, it might be something that I don't like about myself that I see in the other, because I can't see in something else what I do not already see in myself.
And here's another.
If there is something in someone else that is triggering you, don't be judging them. Reverse it and ask yourself, where is that within you?
Apparently, when you do feel those things, those negativistic things about certain people who misbehave themselves, you are projecting that into them. And you have yourself to hold to account. You need to investigate yourself further. Now, this is a very common thing. They always cite this as being Jung. Carl Jung says perception is projection. I'm not an expert on Jung by a long shot. I've read a lot of his stuff, though, and I'm fairly sure the motif that is going around TikTok and alphabet therapists and the idiots that flock to these narcissistic trainers, I'm fairly sure the motif they have cottoned onto, they've latched onto, isn't anything that Jung said. I mean, certainly not anything I've read. Feel free to correct me in the comments. I would like evidence, though, please. Please, I would appreciate. Always good to have that. If perception is projection, sure, I see the world how I am. There's a generic generalization. When I'm in a bad mood, I see the world as a horrible place. When I'm in a lovely mood, I see the world as a lovely place. But that doesn't extend to what I see in another person is somehow a judgment coming from something I possess within myself. Sure, know thyself in order to know others, but other people have responsibility for how they behave. This is one of the things I have seen within these TikTok videos, and there's a lot of examples of these. I mean, there's hundreds of them. Again, I have to point out the majority of them are women. There are a few guys there, but the majority of them are women. And I don't know what that means. They're essentially saying, a gaslighting thing. If you accuse me of being a narcissist, you yourself are the narcissist. That's how it works. This is gaslighting. This is just standard stuff that people who've done alphabet therapy training, whether it's NLP, hypnosis, any of the others, people who are coaches, they learn these manipulative techniques largely because, and I totally now believe this, I've been suspicious for a while, I'm now happy to say, yeah, I believe this, the majority of top trainers are narcissists. They work their way up there because they're completely shameless, and they have probably, a lot of them will have done it by deception. Feel free to argue with me in the comments. This is gaslighting taught by narcissists. Essentially, my behavior is completely impervious to any feedback from you, because any feedback you give me, you are merely projecting that, and you need to look within yourself. This is along the ranks of, well, you don't agree with me, that's because you're a polarity responder. You can't afford my next level training. You've got limiting beliefs about money. The endless gaslighting that takes place. And it's made it through to the younger TikTok generation. And I say, just type in perception is projection and have a look for yourself. It's quite worrying. Anyway, see you in the next video.
This is